What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're going to be talking about Defense Forme Deoxys in the Ultra League. Now, Defense Forme Deoxys recently came back in the wave of all the Deoxys forms being back last month, and Defense Deoxys is really the only useful form currently in the game. You've no doubt seen it a lot in the Great League, being used as an Azumarill counter, being used as a Registeel counter and various other roles, and you've probably seen it recently in the Ultra League in the last couple of seasons since we did get XL Pokemon. It's incredibly bulky, it's got a fantastic moveset, gives it great coverage. With the team I'm going to be talking about today, I've had amazing success with Defense Forme Deoxys. I've actually gone 23-2 in the 5 sets I've done, so I've had 3 5-0s and I've had 2 4-1 sets with this thing. It is absolutely immense. Even when losing lead, this team does very well, and it is quite versatile for swapping some other picks in if you don't have everything available to you, which I will be going over. Now, you do need to max out Defense Forme Deoxys. You need around 300 XL candies. You don't need 100% IV, but 100% would do just fine and save you a few XL candies for sure. But the one we're actually using here is the second best IV spread, I think, if you don't include level 51, because I didn't want to have to best buddy it because I already have a couple of picks that I've maxed out for Ultra League that I have to use best buddy for, and you can only have one at a time. So I figured I'd better go with one that just maxes out at 2500 without best buddy boost. Also wanted to share with you guys that I did hit level 49 this week, and I had an interesting bug with that where I hit the XP requirement and I didn't actually get the big flash up, you know, where the big number comes up and says, you know, level so-and-so, shows you the items that you get for leveling up, and then gives you some statistics like how many Pokemon you caught, how many raids you did. I never got that flash up. I was doing a screen recording for when I hit it to see if I would, you know, see my stats, because I like seeing that kind of stuff. And I just sat there for 6 minutes, screen recording, nothing happening, restarted the app, still nothing. So I guess I'll just have to wait for level 50 and see how long that takes me. That 30 million XP grind is gonna take quite a long time. Now hold up, before we take a look at the team, scroll down from the video just a little bit. If you reach the comments, you've gone too far, but just below the video, next to where you can see the channel name, see that button, see that little bit of text that says subscribe? Does it say subscribe or does it say subscribed? If it says subscribe, click that button. Why not? It's free, helps me out massively. And let's take a look at today's team. So we're going to be putting Deoxys on the lead, running Rock Slide and Psycho Boost. Psycho Boost is a great choice on the lead because you can throw it and dip out, and Rock Slide offers the potential for massive double super effective damage to Talonflame, Charizard, picks like that. Now this is a very strong meta team that we're going for, so on the say swap we're going to be opting for Shadow, Snorlax, and on that you're going to be wanting Body Slam, and then we're running Superpower, but Earthquake works fine as well. If you don't have a Shadow Snorlax, you can use regular Snorlax, or even Trevenant pairs quite well with Defense Forme Deoxys. So if you don't have Shadow Snorlax, Trevenant might fill that gap nicely for you. And then in the back we're actually going to be running Alolan Ninetails, which is again a very expensive level 50 build. Ours is level 51 best buddy build because this was the most appropriate IV spread I had on Alolan Vulpix to build up for this thing. So this isn't a cheap team, unfortunately, but that's just not the way Ultra League is anymore. You're going to have to spend the big Stardust bucks if you want to get those wins. Now, we have bounced around between Charm and Powder Snow. I did a full set on Charm that I'll be talking about, and then the rest of the sets I've used Powder Snow. I do believe Powder Snow is the better move overall for Alolan Ninetails for the Open Ultra League, but Charm has some good play as well. If you don't have or don't want to run Alolan Ninetails, you can run Registeel with Zap Cannon instead. The coverage on that thing is just so awesome, and it pairs very well with Deoxys and with Snorlax or Trevenant. It's just got great coverage and will serve you very well in the Open Ultra League. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a set with Charm on Alolan Ninetails. I'm going to talk about a set of battles without Charm. I'm running Powder Snow instead, and then I'm going to put the rest of the 25 matches in the 23-2 run at the end of the video, just for you guys to check out if you're interested in seeing that much gameplay of the team and how it works. I'm not going to insist on talking to you guys for that long. I know that's a long time to be focused on anything, and not many people actually have time for that, but it's there if you need it. So, in this first matchup, we actually had a Jellicent lead, which isn't brilliant for this team, and you might think, why on earth would you safe swap Snorlax still, when it's your best answer to Jellicent? It's resisting the ghost moves, the lick damage is super effective, chips it down really nicely, but when you've got Charm on Alolan Ninetails, you're not looking too bad against Jellicent, because that neutral charm will really chip away over time. So you're not in that bad of a position. With Powder Snow, it's a little bit worse, but I would still recommend that you save swap Snorlax, and then hopefully by the time that you get lined back up with Jellicent, with either Deoxys or with Alolan Ninetails, you can either get Dazzling Gleams through, you can get some Psycho Boosts off, some Rock Slides through, because the charge move is really where your damage is going to come through on Jellicent without the fast move pressure if you don't have Snorlax. So shields down, end game is completely fine, really still in that situation. Alolan Ninetails doesn't lose that badly, even if you've got Powder Snow. In fact, I think it can win that matchup depending on how the opponent chooses to play it. And we're going to see here Alolan Ninetails, 1 HP and a Dream, going to get that Dazzling Gleam through for big damage, and then Deoxys should hopefully be able to just finish this thing off. One more charm chips it down a little bit lower. That's nice. This Psycho Boost should just be enough. The one we landed earlier was debuffed by a Zap Cannon, so this should hit a little harder than that and definitely take the win for us. Good game. Alright, next matchup, and I believe this opponent leads an Articuno. Yep, this is absolutely fantastic for Deoxys, because thanks to the Ice typing, the counters are actually hitting for neutral damage. And yeah, you're not resisting anything from Articuno, but you can take Icy Winds all day. You can survive a Hurricane very comfortably if they do happen to throw that at you. And your Rock Slide is threatening big double super effective damage on them, so that's a very strong position to be in. Now this Articuno didn't debuff us before it swapped out, so we decided that the best play was to throw a Psycho Boost, since it would do a nice little chunk of damage to the Swampert before we swap out to Alolan Ninetails and then attempt a full Charm down, and we should be able to get it. This second Hydro Cannon won't quite take us out. We know if the Articuno comes back in, we're going to be able to throw a Weather Ball at it, maybe 2, because it might struggle to farm us down with that Ice Shard damage. We do throw a Weather Ball blindly, and it's actually a Walrein that comes in, so it's double resisting that ice charge move, but I don't think we'd have made it to a Dazzling Gleam either way, so it's not a big regret throwing that energy into the Walrein. But we can bring Deoxys in on this thing, throw a Psycho Boost, and now we're going to swap out to Snorlax, because both Snorlax and Deoxys have decent play against Articuno and against Walrein. We know that they're in a limited position because they're low on shields. They'd already given up one, they probably wouldn't want to give up another, so we might as well go for the big hitting debuff move and then swap out to Snorlax, because Snorlax is very comfortable, very bulky, can take some hits. So we take out the Walrein with a superpower, and now we've just got Articuno to deal with, and we're not going to shield Snorlax. It's not worth getting those moves off. We had debuffed ourselves by throwing the superpower, so we might as well save the shield for Deoxys, make sure that we get a Rock Slide off to take them out, and it should absolutely take out Articuno from this range. Even debuffed, I think we could be triple debuffed, and it would probably still KO the Articuno at that range, and that's going to be a good game. Alright, matchup number 3, and we've got an Umbreon on the lead. This is a pretty devastatingly bad lead for Defense Deoxys, and it's pretty rough for the team in general, because Snorlax, that we've got on the safe swap position, Umbreon resists the licks as well, so it's got quite good play against Snorlax as well, but we can put a little bit more pressure on with the potential superpowers and body slams, and the winning scenario ideally is to get Alolan Ninetails lined up with Umbreon, because Alolan Ninetails has a lot of play against it. We actually pull out a Talonflame to come up against our Snorlax, and this is absolutely fantastic for us because we can probably pull a shield in this matchup anyway, and there isn't much chance that they've got a Steel type in the back to hardwall Alolan Ninetails now, because if they did, then they'd be double weak to fighting, because Umbreon would lose to fighting on the lead. They wouldn't be able to swap out of that position because they had a Steel type in the back. So Alolan Ninetails is actually looking really strong in this game, and we did commit a shield into Deoxys, and that's just because if it had been a Brave Bird, it would have been buffed by Flame Charge. It would have done huge damage, and it is worth preserving Deoxys in that sense, because it can put a little bit of work in with those counters against Umbreon if it needs to. The opponent actually brings in Sylveon instead of Umbreon to meet Deoxys, which I can absolutely deal with, because we can put some serious work in there and then just line up Alolan Ninetails with Umbreon now that they've chosen to bring it in. And this is an absolutely awesome position for us now at this point. Realistically, we're going to be able to almost, yeah, we should probably be able to charm down the Umbreon entirely and then just start dumping Weather Balls into the Sylveon. And this game is pretty much done. They do get a Psychic debuff on us, which is pretty unlucky on our part. Unlucky, sorry, but it's not going to change the matchup at all. We've got 2 weather balls. This is going to take them out and it's going to give us the win. Good game. And you'll notice that a lot with the Snorlax Say swap out of Defense Deoxys on the leaders. You'll probably pull out Steel types, Fire types, a lot of Alolan Ninetails as hardest counters, which can really put you in a good position towards the end of a match. Now, Altered Forme Giratina, specifically Shadow Claw Altered Forme Giratina, is again pretty bad for Defense Forme Deoxys. But we can safe swap Snorlax because even though the lick damage is putting a lot of work into Giratina, without having Earthquake, Snorlax really struggles in that matchup because you just can't keep pace with the Dragon Claws and potentially Dragon Breath damage and things like that. But it does still really tempt them to swap out to try and hang on to that Deoxys matchup. And that means that by the time they do swap out, we've got excess energy, which helps us put a lot of pressure on to control switch advantage. So we're able to get 2 shields out of that Togekiss and knock them out, and we've got switch advantage, and all we've done is give up 1 shield, which is absolutely fantastic. Now we've got Alolan Ninetails against this Giratina, and this opponent is in a pretty tough spot now unless they have something in the back that is going to be able to sweep both. And they've actually got a Scizor in the back, which I think Scizor is an underrated Ultra League pick. I think it's got a lot of play in the current meta. Might struggle a little bit against Registeel. I think that Zap Cannon's going to really put some work in against Scizor in general. Even Focus Blast is going to hit it pretty hard. But Scizor's not that big of a problem for this team as long as we keep it away from the Alolan Ninetails, which we've managed to do. But at this point, the Scizor's so low, it wouldn't matter if it did take us out. I actually, in this matchup, considered letting the Scizor take us out to make sure the Giratina didn't get extra farm on Deoxys, but I decided, now we'll just take it out, get it knocked out, because unless this Giratina gets a boost, which it better not do, oh, they throw a Dragon Claw, that's fine, but if they'd have thrown another Ancient Power and got the boost, we might have been in a little bit of a scary position, but we should be fine here. We can just shield this up. No, we're going for the shield flex. Okay, the 1 shield flex at least. But we're going to get to the weather ball, we're going to take them out, and we're going to take that game. All credit for that matchup goes to Shadow Snorlax being such a punishing say swap that we were able to control switch advantage and get a Alolan Ninetails against the Giratina, keep it away from the Scizor. Right, matchup number 5, Registeel lead. Now, Registeel with Zap Cannon does beat Defense Forme Deoxys. So you would think really Registeel is quite difficult for this team in general to deal with, but honestly the counters over time do really add up, and the fact that that Registeel swapped out without, it built up energy and then swapped out without throwing, which is a little bit odd. I would have expected them, if they were going to wait to swap out, to at least throw a Zap Cannon first to do big damage and possibly force me to swap out no matter what they then swapped to. But either way, they swap out to Giratina. The obvious choice there is to bring in the Alolan Ninetails, keeps it away from the Registeel. And they actually have a Venusaur in the back they're going to bring in to get a really aggressive farm down. But thanks to the opponent taking so long to swap out of the Registeel at the start, we actually managed to have quite a lot of energy built up ourselves before we swapped out. So we're able to force a shield out of this Venusaur with a Psycho Boost. We're just going to throw another one straight away and now swap to Snorlax and start getting some lick damage in. We've now got a 2 shield advantage at this point, which is absolutely crazy. And we're still going to choose not to shield a Focus Blast, which absolutely smashes us to pieces. Honestly, I was expecting it to be either a Flash Cannon or a Zap Cannon, because I figured they might think that debuffing is the only option at this point because they're in such a bad position. So I thought, well, I can take a Zap Cannon, no problem. But turns out they throw a Focus Blast, does big damage. Doesn't matter. We're going to be able to come with Deoxys, farm them down. We got a Psycho Boost for the Venusaur, and we're going to take a 2 shield flex win in this matchup. GG to the opponent. And that's going to give us our first 5 out of 5 set. Now the rest of the battles are with Powder Snow as a fast move instead. We still keep Dazzling Gleam. I know a lot of people like to run Psyshock instead of Dazzling Gleam if they've got Charm, but in that one matchup, if you saw earlier on, where we actually had the Ninetales mirror match, having Dazzling Gleam gave us a huge advantage in that game. Alright, now this is why you want Rock Slide on your Defense Forme Deoxys, and it's also why I like to run Deoxys on the lead, because Talonflame is a very popular, very strong lead in the Open Ultra League, and honestly, without Rock Slide, you're going to struggle, because you need to be able to do that, which hits bloody hard, or you have to be able to get the shields out of them. Snorlax can hang with Talonflame pretty well, and honestly Powder Snow Alolan Ninetails does pretty well as well, because it is neutral and it does add up over time with those weather balls as well. Now at this point we get a shield out of them with the Psycho Boost, just so that they don't get taken out very quickly, and so we're happy to return that shield, and now we can counter them down entirely. So we're going to choose to swap straight out to Snorlax, since we've thrown a Psycho Boost and debuffed ourselves, but we don't actually want to commit, you know, losing Defense Forme Deoxys for the rest of the game. We're going to safe swap to Snorlax no matter what they brought in, and see what they choose to do. And it's actually a Shadow Zapdos that comes in, which is absolutely crazy spice. Shout out to this trainer for running something so absolutely nuts in the Open Ultra League, when it's really getting narrowed down in what even is meta in the Ultra League. That's awesomely fun to see. They actually stay in for a little while, hit us with the Thunderbolt, does big damage, and bring in their Walrein and farm us down entirely. It's kind of scary, and we have to shield to not lose all this energy on Defense Forme Deoxys, which this match might actually come down to the wire, just because we did swap out to Snorlax and put ourselves in a little bit of a weird position by throwing a superpower, allowing us to be farmed down by this Walrein. And you're going to see we get a huge lag spike here. We just got Ball of Doom, we're trying to shield, we already used a shield, it didn't let us use it, we're not sure what's going on. The move goes through, we've still got our shield, we have no idea what's even happening at this point. Like, can we even use our shield, as the game just bugged entirely? It uses our shield when we choose not to, and lets us shield an Earthquake, which might actually have saved us in this game. Go Battle League was all over the place for this match. I have no idea what was happening, but we were able to farm down the Zapdos, and we're just going to go ahead and throw Weather Ball at this Walrein, get the shield, dash to the Dazzling Gleam. We've got no idea how much energy they've got because of all that lag. They could be nearly another Earthquake, but we had to go for the Dazzling Gleam, make sure we knock them out, and take that win somehow. Even with that massive lag spike screwing with our shields, but good game to the opponent. I never like to think that it's the opponent that causes things like that to happen. It's almost certainly Niantic's screwy servers, so GG's all the same. Okay, Cresselia, not the best lead for Defense Forme Deoxys, just because you're going to be really struggling to put damage out. A lot of Deoxys' strength comes from having counter as a fast move. It is such a very good fast move in general, but when it's resisted by things like Cresselia with incredible bulk, you're going to really struggle to chip them down, especially when they're hitting you back for neutral moves like Moonblast. So we're going to opt to swap for Snorlax, see what the opponent chooses to do, and if we line up Alolan Ninetales with Cresselia later on, that's completely fine with us. This opponent's going to bring in an Incineroar to meet us, and we're going to go for a Body Slam. You might think, why not Superpower? And that's because we can make it to a Superpower as well. We didn't want them to farm us down first, so we just wanted to make sure that we could definitely get that through. We sniped them down with Defense Forme Deoxys after getting the Superpower through, so we lose switch advantage, but we do have shield advantage, and this Cresselia's took quite a bit of damage from the Snorlax before they swapped out, and this is now not a bad position for Defense Forme Deoxys to be in. You can see the Rock Slide doesn't do that much damage, but also they're not hitting us very hard with the Grass Knot. The Moonblast does a decent chunk, but we're not going to shield up, I don't think, at this point. We're going to commit our shields for the Alolan Ninetales and see what they're going to do in the back. We might shield one more move if they do throw it. No, we're going to swap straight to Ninetales, see what they've got. It's a Drifblim. This game is done and dusted. Incineroar was really their only answer. Well, that's not true. Cresselia does okay against Alolan Ninetales, but Incineroar was really their harder punish to an Ice type like Alolan Ninetales on the team. And now we can just, we've got shields to spare. It doesn't matter that we shielded an Icy Wind. We were pretty sure it would be, but you don't want to gamble. Even though Shadow Ball wouldn't take us out at this range, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you're happy to just play it safe, drop your shields. This could technically be a Shadow Ball. No? Icy Wind, that was a ballsy call at that point. That was unnecessary. We'll be able to farm down entirely, throw a Dazzling Gleam at the Cresselia and to finish them off so the opponent surrenders. Good game. Okay, let's take another look at another matchup with a Giratina lead, but this time with Powder Snow on our Alolan Ninetales, and see what this opponent chooses to do. Same plan, this is a Dragon Breath Giratina, which is even worse for Snorlax than a Shadow Claw variant is, because that neutral Dragon Breath will add up over time. Now, the opponent is choosing to stay into this point, so we opted to build up to an Earthquake, we built up to 2 Body Slams, just over 2 Body Slams worth of energy, which could be an Earthquake and throw, because even if you don't have it, you want to pretend that you have it to potentially get a shield out of the opponent. They actually call that it's not an Earthquake and let it go through, and swap out to a regular Kanto Muck, which is still a strong choice in the Open Ultra League. I think it's been a little bit underappreciated this time around, but it is a strong choice all the same. Now we're going to bring Defense Forme Deoxys back in, probably drop a shield. Yeah, we expected a Dark Pulse, which would have done a very sizable chunk of damage. Now we're just going to go for double Psycho Boost. We know we're not quite at 2, but we just want to throw this first in case they're going to throw a Thunder Punch or something, just to avoid that chip damage, and swap straight to Ninetails. And again, we see an Incineroar in the back, which isn't the strongest answer to an Alolan Ninetails. It does well. You see the Flame Charge does a big chunk, but it doesn't one-shot. I'd be tempted to run Fire Blast on an Incineroar personally. If I was running Snarl as a fast move, I think I'd have to run Fire Blast, just because you want that absolutely monstrous damage. You want to one-shot things or get a shield. You don't want people to be comfortable letting a move through, because powering up your attack doesn't serve you that much purpose, because Snarl doesn't do much damage anyway. So you're not really gaining much from that other than powering up future charge moves, which if you're just throwing a Fire Blast straight out of the gate, that wouldn't matter. You're already going to hit them incredibly hard regardless. But each to their own. That's just my personal take on Incineroar at this point. I haven't really had a chance to use one yet, but I'm looking forward to giving it a try. Now you're going to see here, this opponent has played this end game perfectly. He's read me like a book, and he happens to get me to shield a Dragon Claw. He threw a Shadow Sneak, which I didn't shield. He threw a Dragon Claw, which I did shield, and now he's going to be able to get one more Shadow Sneak through, which will finish me off, whereas a Dragon Claw wouldn't. So if I'd have not shielded the Dragon Claw, I'd have been fine. All I had to do was manage to shield the Shadow Sneak and I would have won, but I wasn't able to call it right, and the opponent's able to take the win. Good game to them. And like I said, I only lost 2 matches with this team, so to have one of them come down to calling the wrong charge move like that is very, very close, and just goes to show how powerful this team is, if the 23 out of 25 wins doesn't sell you on that. Alright, this next matchup is going pretty much by the books. We have a Walrein lead, which is great for Defense Deoxys. You're hitting a super effective damage. They swap out to Togekiss, we bring in Alolan Ninetails, and we're able to get off 2 Weather Balls before they throw a move. And it's important that we did throw a second. You might think, well, why didn't you just farm them down entirely? And that is a choice, but also then you have to give up a shield, because if they get a charge move off, they can take you out, and that means you have to give up shield advantage to keep switch advantage, which isn't ideal. So you want to throw those 2, you want to swap fast and get those 2 Weather Balls off as fast as possible, just to either get a shield out of them or take them straight out and preserve some health on your Ninetails. Now this opponent has a Typhlosion in the back. We're just going to absorb the Blast Burn damage on Snorlax, because we know that Defense Forme Deoxys can do pretty well here in this endgame. We know it's going to do pretty well against the Walrein, and the Rock Slide would hit Typhlosion for a big chunk of super effective damage. The Psycho Boost would hit pretty hard as well. Typhlosion isn't that bulky in the Ultra League. It's not got bad bulk, but it's not got brilliant bulk either, especially when we're comparing it to things like Deoxys and Snorlax and even Talonflame. But we'll be able to get this Psycho Boost off, and this is probably going to take them out. Yeah, we're going to take them out. They're still holding on to that shield, but they're running out of time to use it. Their Typhlosion's getting pretty low. They're going to struggle to farm us down. We're going to swap straight to Snorlax, and we're just going to get a Body Slam off before they get that last Incinerate through, because I think that would have put them at the position of having 2 Blast Burns ready to go, so they could have thrown back to back. We're just able to sneak it through, get the Body Slam off, and take them out and take the win. GG. Okay, this matchup is all over the place from what I remember, and it's going to be the last one I'm going to talk to you guys about, and then I'm going to leave you with the other 14 matches, because I showed you one at the beginning of the video I wasn't talking about as well. So, Jellicent lead, same plan as before. Even though we don't have Charm on our Alolan Ninetails at this point, we're still going to say swap Snorlax, see what the opponent chooses to do. We're expecting a Bubble Beam, yep, that's absolutely fine. Wouldn't have mattered if it was an Ice Beam, which is realistically the hardest hitting move that Jellicent can throw at a Snorlax, just because it's not going to hit you that hard. I think 3 Ice Beams will knock out Shadow Snorlax, but that's 3, so you certainly have to shield the first one that they throw, and we're happy for it to be a Bubble Beam and not waste a shield on that. And it does put us on the back foot in this secondary matchup, and Pidgeot is a pretty good answer to Snorlax. Snorlax just has immense bulk compared to most things, and even though we're debuffed, we are going to put some pressure on here, but you're going to see they are going to be able to farm us down just before we're able to get one more Body Slam off, and honestly we would have taken them out by this point if they hadn't debuffed us with a Bubble Beam, so it was the right call from the opponent. They're going to manage to Brave Bird Deoxys, which isn't ideal, but we don't mind it. We're just going to swap straight to Alolan Ninetails now that they bring in the Jellicent, and you might think, well, how are you going to win this game now? They've still got 2 shields, you've still got 2 shields, and realistically charge moves are your only way to take out that Jellicent now. And you're going to see how this game goes because they bring in a Greedent, and we are debuffed at this point. So the plan right now is throw some Weather Balls, start chipping them down a little bit. We're going to keep building up to Dazzling Gleam though before we throw, because we want to tempt them to shield if they think they have to. Let the Body Slam go through, that's fine, we don't mind that. Throw another Weather Ball, we're at a lot of energy. Are we going to get a shield out of them now? We do, that's fine, we get the first shield. Swap to Deoxys, clear the debuff on Ninetails, and start putting some more work in. We're going to use our first shield, expecting a crunch, which it is. That's fantastic. We've got a lot of energy on Deoxys at this point, and I don't think they know that we haven't got Thunderbolt, so they shield that up. Absolutely fantastic. We don't mind that it's a Rock Slide that they shielded up because it saves us debuffing ourselves. Now we're just going for chip damage. Throwing Psycho Boost as fast as we can. If we get another one off, that's fine. We're not going to shield this up. So Shadow Ball takes us out. We still got a boatload of energy on Ninetales. We can get to a Dazzling Gleam and take out the Jellicent, which is crazy. And now we just have to hope we can get to another move. I think we're going to need a Dazzling Gleam to finish off Greedent. It's very, very bulky. They must be racing to 2 Body Slams, but we're going to make it to the Dazzling Gleam. We're going to just get it off and take them out just in time to take that win. Incredibly close game and all over the place. Very good game to the opponent. I'm almost certain that we CMP tied with the Greedent that last Dazzling Gleam. I'm sure they just made it to 2 Body Slams at that point. We were very lucky that they left themselves energy dry when they did. Even if they would have baited with Body Slam against the Deoxys and not thrown a crunch and would have showed that, we probably would have lost just for that one extra Bullet Seed, even like half a Bullet Seed's worth of energy that would have saved them. So very, very close game. Don't forget guys to like the video if you're enjoying the content or the team. If you got any questions, ask me down below. I will try and get back to you. This is where I'm going to leave you for this video. I'm just going to leave you the next 14 matchups just playing away, just so you guys can see some more gameplay with the team and show that I'm not bullshitting you when I say that a team gives me a 23-2, because that is a bold claim, but this team does prove it. And at the minute I'm actually sat on a 13 win streak, which if I do win a couple of more when I'm playing later on, I'll actually beat my best Go Battle League streak with this team, which would be kind of crazy. I'll let you guys know how that goes. So as always, thank you for watching this far. If you're planning to watch through the rest of this video and the rest of these matchups, extra thank you to you. You're an absolute champion. If you're not already subscribed, consider it. It's free, helps me out. And if you are already subscribed, thank you for the support. Thank you for supporting me and the channel, and I will catch all of you guys next time.